All right. Welcome to a special episode of the CYA Sideline Podcast. Scott and I are here to talk a little bit about the Ryder Cup that's coming up this weekend. I know us being avid golfers, we're pretty pumped up about this because it only comes around every 2 years.
Cannot wait. So excited.
All right. Tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to, Scotty. Let's start there.
Well, there's a lot of things I'm looking forward to in the Ryder Cup. I mean, I think Keegan Bradley's going to be a great coach. I just love it because of his energy. A captain, sorry, not coach there. Being in New York, him there, I just think it's gonna make it really exciting. The crowd's gonna be really into it. I hope the U.S. gets off to a strong start because I think that's only gonna create more hype for the fans there. I think both teams are solid. I think on paper, I like to look at Europe's team a little bit better, but I'm certainly cheering for the U.S. What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I have to lean with the European team. Excuse me. I just think there's some bigger names. I think there's too many question marks on the American side. A lot of new guys to the competition, things like that. They've played well, but this is not your typical golf round that they're used to playing. It's going to be a little amped up. It's going to be rowdy. I think it leans towards more of a live atmosphere, and that's another thing I'm looking forward to is how these live guys kind of handle themselves in this, playing with these PGA guys. I know there's some, not necessary for all of them, but I know there's a little disdain for some of these guys that jumped ship and went over there. But I'm interested to see how some of these guys perform in this atmosphere that they're kind of used to now. So I know we start out, the event starts out with the foursomes, the alternate shot. What are your thoughts there? Do you think that plays in favor of the Americans or is it in favor of the Europeans?
I always think that's in favor of the Europeans, even with this year's teams. I think the course is a little tight. It's a bit of a shot maker's course, as we were talking about off air beforehand. I think that if the Americans can get through the opening alternate shot section, even if it's 2 and 2, it's going to give them a lot of confidence come into the best ball, the 4-ball portion. Because I feel like we set up really nicely for that because we have some bangers there. You get Cameron Young out there. I don't know if he'll play in the morning session, but we're going to have Bryson DeChambeau out there banging it long. I think they're going to do really well in the 4-ball with those guys. And we have good putters on our team.
Yeah.
We really do. We have there's 3 putters that I think of. I think the best putter, a lot of people think it's Patrick Cantlay. I think the best putter on our team is Sam Burns. I think Harris English, and then Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah.
I think those other 2 guys, if they're putting well, it's going to be very helpful.
And the crazy thing is you didn't even mention Scotty Scheffler in there as 3 best putters, and that dude's been on a tear. And all he's done is win since the regular season has ended as he tunes up for this event. So I do think there's a huge advantage putting-wise, even though these greens are tricky, multi-tiered and things like that. I think the advantage for the European team is the tightness of the course. Like you said, it plays long. Americans kind of smash it a little farther than this European team, but it does play tight. And the driving accuracy tends to lean in favor of the Europeans. And if they can stay in the fairway, which we talk about all the time, it makes golf a little easier staying in the fairway. But at Bethpage, the rough they're known for the longer, tougher rough. So if you're not in the fairway, it's going to be tricky. So, I think that fairway accuracy stuff kind of leans in favor of European, even though they're not the big hitters like the Americans you talked about. So is there a particular matchup you're hoping to see in terms of foursomes or 4-ball or even the singles on Sunday?
Well, yeah, I'm going to assume that Rory and Tommy Fleetwood are going to be playing together because they're dynamic together. They have a great record together. I want to see somebody playing against them. Obviously, I'd like to see Scotty with whoever he's matched up with. They're talking a lot about Russell Henley or Sam Burns with Scotty next week. I would love to see him with one of those folks playing against Fleetwood and Rory.
Yeah.
How about you?
I want to see how John Rahm does. Right? Like I just want to see where he's at. Just in particular, he was so good when he was on the tour, and we haven't seen him much, and he's done this year. He's done fairly well in the majors when he's got to participate. But he's kind of fallen off the radar because of the trip over to the Live Tour. And I'm excited to see what he does. He's one of those guys that can mash it a little bit. He putts fairly well. But like you said, I want to see Bryson as well. Because he absolutely demolishes the ball. And he can make this course look tiny if he's accurate. So I'm looking forward to seeing those 2 live guys come over and play. We don't get the luxury of seeing them much outside of the majors. So I want to see what those guys do. There's not necessarily a particular pairing I'm looking for. I do want to see some of these rookies too. Robert McIntyre, he's played really well. on the tour this year, but how does he handle this atmosphere? He seems like he's got a little edge on him. We've seen him chirp a little bit in some of these majors. So does he feed off from that, or does it kind of put him in a shell and he doesn't do so well? So I'm interested to see how some of those guys do as well.
Yeah, it'd be good. One other thing I'm interested in, Zach, with all that is Justin Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
He's played with Jordan Spieth so much. And the President's Cups, the Riders' Cups, they've been together a lot. I think he's going to be really important in this competition because he has a lot of experience. And I think you can put him with anybody because Jordan Spieth is not on the team this year. So I think he's going to be somebody that you see playing with a lot of different people. I think he's going to play a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays all 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think Scotty will play all 5. I don't know who else will play all 5, but I wouldn't be surprised if those 2 guys are playing all 5 matches.
I think for the Americans, I think on the European side, I think Rory has to play all 5, right? And looking at this list, I'm not sure. Maybe Aberg
or Tommy Fleetwood.
Tommy Fleetwood. One of those guys might play all 5, but out on the European side, I don't see many of those guys playing all 5. Like you have a lock that Scotty has to play, and I like you said, JT he just seems like a good teammate in this atmosphere. He can settle you down a little bit. The experience comes in big with the amount he's done this. So I do think those 2 guys are guys that are going to play a lot. So I'm hoping the U.S. wins, but I'm leaning the numbers don't fade it. They don't favor it. So I think the European team wins this, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the crowd. I think on paper Europe looks good, but I think U.S. is going to win. I just feel it's their year. I think at Bethpage Black, I think the crowd's going to be into it. We do have the best golfer in the world. Mm-hmm. I think if Scotty does well, that'll settle the team down. I really think it's going to come down. I was doing some research on the holes. I was looking at the scorecards, and I know a lot of people have talked about it, but I've heard other people say the same thing. I think 10, 11, 12, and 13 are tough holes. When you make the turn there and the pressure is ramped up in the match at that point, because a lot of times it's not going to go all the way 18. These are going to be closer to finishing holes in a regular match. Those holes are going to be very important and very exciting to watch. So those are ones I'm going to be looking forward to seeing.
Absolutely. You spoke a little bit about the crowd, Scotty. We've talked about it off air and we've seen some things. Do you think the crowd turns on the Americans if they struggle a little bit out of the gate in foursomes? I know one of the topics is that the Americans are getting paid. The Europeans aren't. Although I did see that a good portion of the money that they're getting paid does go to a charity of their choice. But it still means they're getting paid for this event and the Europeans aren't. So do you think that the American crowd gets on those guys a little bit if they don't perform right out of the gate?
I don't think early. I just don't think so. I don't think the crowd would get on them early. Later, I mean, maybe afternoon on Saturday or, late morning on Saturday if things aren't going right like last time.
Couple rounds.
Yeah, but I think they'd stay with him at least all day on Friday.
All right, makes sense. I think it's in favor that it's in America right now for this event because watching it on the Europe side, those crowds are spectacular. So it's almost like watching a European soccer game. I don't know if the American crowd will match that here, but I'm excited to see what it looks like.
I think they will because I'm pretty sure I'm going to see Rory once or twice put his hands up to his ear and say, I can't hear you right now. But my prediction, Zach, for this is I'm going to say the U.S. 15, Europe 13. It's going to come down to those singles matches on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, fair enough. I think I'm going the other way, 15-13 Europe. But who do you think is the last guy? Do you think it makes it all the way to they put Scotty or Rory in those matchups late, or do you think they're a little
lead off of Scotty? But I'm not sure, or JT. But it would be awesome if it came down to the last match.
It'd be pretty crazy if it came down. I don't think it's ever made it there, but it would be great if it got down to those last couple matches with some of these names.
That would be cool.
So that's what we got. That's our special edition of the podcast talking about the Ryder Cup. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at CY Sideline Podcast. Thanks for checking us out.
Before we jump off, I got a quick Ryder Cup trivia question.
All right. So did Scotty make that up?
Yeah. Who is the only golfer to win 2 majors ever and not be part of the Ryder Cup team?
Ooh.
At least 2 majors.
Can I ask him for a hint? Is he a modern day golfer?
He's a modern, somewhat modern. You know who he is.
Okay.
Trust me, you know who he is. He's modern.
I should have asked, is he currently playing on the tour? To never won 2 majors and never play in. One name that comes to mind, I can't remember him playing in the Ryder Cup. I'm going to say Bubba Watson.
No, he's played in the Ryder Cup.
I couldn't remember.
And but no, this is a very well-known golfer, very flamboyant golfer who is probably a little older than me, but likes to have a good time.
It's young John Daly.
That's it. You got it.
Yeah. There it is.
He would have been something fun to watch in the Ryder Cup.
Oh, absolutely. He would have been fun back in the day.
Yeah.
All right. Now that Scotty reminded we had did Scotty make that up? Now we're wrapping it up. Thank you for joining us. Check us out at CY Sideline Podcast. Thanks for watching.
See ya.